Like, please. They tried to recruit me on the basketball team in high school, and I told them they are out of their minds. That is not me. So one, that was already racist off the bat. So it is what it is. But I'm like, are you a Trump supporter? Naturally, because if you're gonna ask me an invasive question, I get to ask you an invasive question. He's like, yeah. Well, he hesitated. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Freedom Collective podcast, y'all. Again, I thank you so much for being a part of this collective. The podcast is doing really well. I'm just so honored that y'all are a part of my collective and we in this together. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and to leave a rating and review. Thank you for tuning in so consistently, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much for joining me and being on this journey with me. And today I have the privilege of having one of my very, very good friends, one of my fellow social workers on as a guest today. Sylvia, please introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, I'm Sylvia. I'm a social worker by trade, and I currently work in a hospital in New York. And if not tooting my own horn, I am a community organizer. I am a
Toot
mental
your
health
own horn,
provider.
baby.
I'm an organizer. I'm a connector. I am a partner. I'm a friend, and I am of the people and for the people.
Period. As you should be. We all need to be of the people and for the people. So let's get it kicked off. So we have 5 segments on the show. The first segment is intake. And that is where we ask a light question to just get the ball rolling. And the question I want to ask you today is, what is your favorite place in the world and why?
Ooh, see, favorite is hard, but the place that I like to be the most, I don't know if it's like actually answers the question, but my favorite place is when I'm around people that I feel connected to.
Okay.
So it could be a coffee shop, it could be a restaurant, it could be my house, their house, but anytime that I feel like I'm really able to connect with the people that I'm in community with or having a conversation with, that's where I love to be.
That's such a good answer. That's a hard follow up. Um, I'll say my favorite place in the world is Assateague State Park, and it's off the coast of Maryland and Virginia. It's like this really long strip of an island, and it's
Uh-huh.
like one of the last places in America where you can find like wild horses. I have gone there so many times. I haven't been in a while, but it's just such a beautiful place. If you go, y'all, you're gonna have a good time. I go there, I go bike riding, I go kayaking. I like to go there and have picnics. I'm long overdue for a trip there, actually. I was thinking about planning something for this summer because
What
I
makes you like that
really
place?
it's just like beautiful, but like I was introduced to it by this program that I was in high school called the Henry Hall program. And for those who don't know, Henry Hall is the person who started the Baltimore National Aquarium. I'm from Baltimore. The Baltimore National Aquarium in his basement. So he started collecting sea animals. He was black too. And so the program would take me over the summers on trips. And one of those trips included going to Assateague Island, and it was just like to study the marine life. I love marine biology, by the way. That's like one of my fixations. Like a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm a huge lover of marine biology, which is why I also love the Seafood Boil Museum, aka the aquarium, because I just love marine life. It's like very interesting to me. And they took me to Assateague to study the marine life there. They've taken me to other places too, like the Florida Keys to like go to sea turtle rescue hospitals. But that reminds me just of like where I started. And it's just such a peaceful place. But it reminds me like along my journey, I had people who, through programs, nonprofits, mentors, unexpected, like people who just came in my life and helped me out along the way. Like it reminds me that I not only do I have a place where I can find peace, but it reminds me that I come from a place that is love, even if it was hard, it was with love. Yeah,
Does that make you feel like grounded being there?
you're such a therapist. Look at you trying to interview me. You're such a therapist, I swear. I feel super grounded there. And that's why I'm like, I need to go back. Like, I
Yeah.
miss it so bad. And just like seeing the wild horses, it's so beautiful. Like, it's like breathtakingly beautiful. And I love nature, but I don't wanna sleep in nature, so it's a good place to visit during the day. I'm not a camper, so
No,
shouts
I
out to
don't
everybody
hike.
who camps.
No, I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
I
not
don't
a
camp
wild
and hike.
animal. I don't wanna sleep in the woods. I'm so sorry. Not unless I have to, but, like, if I can avoid it, I will. Yeah, but, it's one of my favorite places in the world. I'm actually, like I'll send you the deets, eventually, but I
Yes.
do wanna plan, a trip there this summer, like, probably towards the end of the summer, have a little
For
friends getaway.
my birthday?
No, your birthday is not in the summer, girl. Does it count? But your birthday is transitioning towards, like, the fall. Like, I
Is
don't
there a
count,
fall
like,
anymore in New
Virgos.
York?
Huh?
Is there a fall anymore in New
Fair.
York?
That's fair. But I don't count Virgos as, like, summer babies. Like, I really don't. Like, Leos to me, well, technically they are, because I will say Leos are a fixed sign, meaning they're in the middle of the season. But,
Yeah.
like, for me, once it start getting cool outside, I'm like, y'all need to wrap it up. Y'all belong in the fall with the
That
Scorpios and
makes
Libras.
that makes sense that Virgos are mutable then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, love a Virgo down too. Oh my God. All right. Let's get into it. So that's the first segment. The second segment is called The Journey. And this is where I really want to get to know you, your story. You can share or talk about anything you want to discuss.
Mhm.
And I just like, people need to know who Sylvia is. Sylvia is like a really great friend, but also like just a really cool person who does a lot of cool stuff. But I do want to hear about your story. Tell me, Sylvia, when did you realize that you wanted to be a therapist? That is going to be my question. I know I get asked that a lot, but like I really am curious about other therapists' journey too.
Honestly, high school. Yeah, so I was, like, bullied all throughout my time in school, not necessarily college, but elementary school, middle school, and high school. I was, like, the outcast, and I knew that I was, like, super depressed, and I knew that I was like, "You know what? I don't like the way that I'm feeling," but also I grew up in Taiwan, so there was not a lot of mental health resources or even just talk about mental health in this way. And in high school, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with like my life. I don't know what kind of college or program I want to go into. First, I was like, you know what? I want to be a fashion designer, and I actually went to a summer program at FIT. No, I was gonna go to a summer program at FIT, but then my mom was like, you know what? If you want to be a fashion designer, you're gonna stay in Taiwan for college. And I was like, you know what? No, I want to get the hell away from here. So I was like, you know, what's the next thing that I'm really interested in is psychology, right? So my understanding of psychology at that time was really about like understanding how people work and understanding how like what makes people feel the way that they do and what drives people, right? And I was like, you know what, I want to understand myself a little bit better. Let me try to get into the field of not I don't think it was like helping people necessarily. It wasn't like big like that, but it was just like I want to understand people more. And so that I'm very grateful that I kind of stuck with it. And college was an experience because coming from Taiwan, going to a predominantly white institution in Wisconsin, a public school, that was a huge transition. And I almost failed out of school. I was put on academic probation my freshman year because I wasn't going to class and just trying to figure a lot of life out. And psychology program at that school is very research based, and I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. So I tried a lot of different things out. Eventually, my advisor told me that, hey, have you thought about like social work, rehabilitation psychology that actually has like internship your last year and figure out if that's what you want? And that's really when I realized that, no, I want to go into social work because I can do therapy, yes, but also am able to really look at what makes people feel the way that they do in a more systematic level and just understanding the world that we live in. And that's kind of how I got started.
Wow. Okay, first off, I have so many questions, but the first question is going to be I want you to speak a little bit more about the bullying. Like, I'm so curious about how that impacted you, like, when you were going through school? Because I know bullying, like, these days, I think America is, like, the land of the bully, if you ask me, and it can
You've
be
never been to
glorified
Asia,
at
have you?
I have, but I guess I haven't experienced that. But I do think Americans can be very like, look at who the president is, child. The Americans can be assholes. I say that to say, but I
Mhm,
don't think like they. I don't know if you remember, like a few years ago, there was like this big push about like stop bullying campaigns and stuff, and I feel like that's just like completely rolled back. So I'm
mhm.
curious, like about like I guess your stance on bullying, your experience with bullying. If you want to talk about that a little bit more, you don't even have to share that if you don't want to, but I'm
No.
curious.
Yeah, so because I grew up in Taiwan and the beauty standard is very narrow, really and figuratively. So I grew up a much very like comparatively a chubbier girl and um I was trying to make friends but didn't really know how to. So a lot of people thought I was really weird and it wasn't like a very overt bullying, but it was more covert in the sense that no one wants to be in a group with me, no one wants to sit next to me, no one wants to eat lunch with me, no one want to be my friend, that kind of bullying. And that made me feel like what am I doing wrong? Like why is it that I can't make friends seemingly the same way that other people were able to? And that kind of that carried me through really all the way through high school, just like not really knowing how other people saw me and what am I doing that's making them feel that way, or that, what is it about me that makes other people don't not like me?
Yeah.
And because there was never really a conversation or opportunity to have a conversation with people that were in my class to also like we were kids like we weren't gonna know how to talk about this, right? So it was just a lot of like it feeds into my insecurity of like an uncertainty of myself, of not knowing how other people perceived me. And I think
Mm.
that is really at the core of what I struggle with the most is like not really knowing what other people's perception of me was or is really to this day sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that bullying can really, like, really fuck up somebody's self-image and distort somebody's complete sense of self. And I think, like I know, like the internet can be a really like it's a breeding ground for like bullying behavior. Like, oh my god, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, oh my god, stalking by proxy. But stalking by proxy is when a person like recruits other people, or abuse by proxy too. Abuse by proxy is when somebody recruits other people to harass and stalk and like belittle, berate, and attack people on their behalf. Like it's the whole flying monkeys thing. But the internet is like this really big breeding ground for things like group stalking, group harassment, group bullying. And a lot of people write it off as like just like entertainment. Like there are lol cows. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
Mhm.
the LOL cows, that's people who are targeted on the internet, and people like typically laugh at them, but not with them. They become like the punchline of the jokes. I could name a few, but I'll name some just like not to be disrespectful, but like Shamar. I don't know if you know Shamar. Shamar has like severe scoliosis, and has the developmental like cognitive delays. And I think like people like use him as a locale. There's like
Mm,
Tokichu, I think the girl's name is. Like people who are targeted and harassed and laughed at and picked on by like, I mean, thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes millions of
strangers too.
people. Yes, strangers who treat these people like jokes. And the worst part of it is like often it's like people who are disabled, or like I said, people who have cognitive disabilities, delays, and things like that, who don't even recognize sometimes that they're being like harassed or picked on or like made fun of. And it's like really kind of sick. And they always, ironically enough, find justification for it. But like I said, people don't realize how bullying can really destroy somebody's sense of self. I'm sorry that you went through that. And let me affirm you real quick, because you're a great friend. Like honestly, you are. Y'all, Sylvia has saved my life
No.
before. Like you don't I don't think you remember, but when there was a job, you remember this, I'm sure, but like there was a job I had, they got mad at me because I had social media. I got suspended for 3 days, I think. But at that point, I was like, I cannot do this job because at the job, the social media I was doing in the office was me getting brand deals with like people like Target and bringing in resources for the kids I was working with because I was in foster care. I would never put like any of my clients online. There was no identifying information of the agency, nothing like that. But they were still like, no, even though they were using the resources I was bringing in, which they desperately needed, I got punished for it. And I was just like, I know I have to get out of this job. And Sylvia hit me up and was like, you need a job? I'm gonna get you a job. And she hit up one of her friends who wound up being my supervisor, and I got a job at this agency. Didn't even have to submit an application because Sylvia just like looked out. Like Sylvia is like a great orchestrator of community. She shows up, she's consistent, she's funny as hell.
Thank you.
And a Virgo, like a quintuple Virgo. So you know she's organizing on time, which I love dearly. But yeah, I just wanted to affirm you. I'm sorry
Thank
you went
you.
through that though.
But what I'm really grateful now looking back is that I didn't grow up with the internet.
Mm,
I was like, you
yeah,
know what? I can deal with the bully that I went to school with for a couple years and never have to see them again. But then having to exist on the internet, just not that you're inviting strangers, but strangers are gonna find a way to come and make fun of you and bully you. Don't know how kids do it. And I was talking to so many people that like, I'm so glad I didn't grow up with the internet the way that it is now. I'm so glad that I grew up with AI. I'm so glad that
yeah,
I grew up where I'm able to be just in my own like environment and reality, even though that sucked. But that was what I had to, that's the only thing that I had to deal with and try to navigate.
yeah. I really feel bad for these kids of this generation. I ain't gonna hold you.
I know.
Because it's one thing to be getting bullied, you know? It's another thing to be getting bullied with like AI images of you, people turn like imagine them putting your head on a turkey and passing that image around school. But like I know that's such a rare
Don't give people
that's such a
ideas.
random
Don't give people ideas.
wait, no, I'm not trying to give ideas. Do not put my head on a turkey, please. But no, like imagine like because I don't know if you've seen even with like Taylor Swift, for example, they put her the nude image of her using AI. Friends of ours even go through harassment online where people will take their images and like put them in like really compromising, over sexualized positions. And it's I can only imagine being a child having to navigate all of this at the same time. Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. And I think it's like people do it because they're doing it to strangers. And even if they're doing it to people that they know, they're not physically and like quote unquote actually doing it to the person. So they feel like, well, I just closed my computer, I just turned my phone off, then I'm not responsible for anything, the things that I said or done. And
Yeah.
that's so irresponsible, right? Because words mean things and words have impact, and you don't think that you need to be responsible for what you just made how you just made other people feel.
Yeah. Okay. Child, you just said a word with that one because a lot of people don't think that the impact of the internet is real and that that type of vitriol that happens on the internet has impact. But it has really in real life implications. I've gotten to the point, child, where I'm like, I'm gonna start just like placing protective orders on people because you got like I'll give you 2 or 3 posts. So once it gets to the point where you're excessively making posts about me, spreading salacious rumors or lies about me, I'm going to have to sue you. Like, or I'm at least gonna have to get a protective order so you can leave me alone. Cause I think a lot of people don't understand the dangers of harassment on the internet. But going a little deeper into your story, I'm curious about like the transition between Taiwan to America, if you notice like the cultural shifts and
Yeah.
I know you're really passionate about like intraracial, not interracial, like the dating, intraracial, like like because I know they're gonna this is talking that way. Intraracial like relations, like how we can all connect and relate to each other. So I'm curious about that shift, especially with the bullying, right? Like coming to America, what the cultural like differences you realize and noticed, but also I'm curious about how it was coming in from an environment where I'm sure it was like majority Taiwanese people to like an environment where it was like a lot of different types of people.
Different types.
That's code for white, everybody. Sylvia has like, by the way, yeah, I know I'm gonna put you on blast. Sylvia has like pretty like so many black friends. Like, and I find that I know we're gonna get into that because I think it's such a hilarious thing too. Because like Sylvia is always like the Asian girl in a group full of black people, and like especially around because Sylvia is also friends in my friend group. Like we have like a big and a lot of gays too. Damn, Sylvia,
I
you love the
know.
gays.
I do.
But like it's just so funny how Sylvia is just like so herself, but also like so down for so many people. Like it's beautiful. I just had to say that. It's like hilarious too. And I know these conversations are typically like you don't talk about that, but it's so fucking funny to me.
I mean, I would love to
But
talk about that later on too, because I do have
yeah,
thoughts too. I feel like we've talked about it very briefly, but the transition is really interesting because the way that I was taught about America was a very white and Hollywood version of America,
mm,
like the college life of like in movies, right? You see like how white people navigate college and stuff like that. And I chose Wisconsin because there were not a lot of Asian I was trying to get away from my own people. And that's a whole different, like, internalized racism and internalized racial inferiority that I didn't really know how to name or even really realize it was a thing, right? Because for so long, I kind of idolized and romanticized what being an American was or living in America would have looked like compared to the restriction that I felt at home. I felt like America meant like personal freedom in being able to do whatever I wanted. I mean,
goodness.
I kind of did though. It was college. We all just kind of did whatever we wanted, right? But the culture shock for me was I came from a big city, so coming into a 300,000 people small town. I was like, what is this? Like, is this the countryside? But it's a big city in Wisconsin. So kind of navigating not being able to just get to places, having things to do to begin with, and like things close so early, and that aspect, but also the aspect of feeling like, oh, I thought that I would have fit in here, but why is it that I still don't feel connected to people? Like, no one was like mean to me, but I was like, I don't know why I still feel out of place. And the first like really good friend that I made that I actually recently reconnected with is a Hmong girl who's from Wisconsin and live on the same floor. And the first Thanksgiving, I actually went with her to her family's house to spend Hmong New Year with her. That like
Mm.
coincided with Thanksgiving. So it's kind of funny looking back how like I came to America and the first friend that I made was a Asian girl. Trying to like get away from the Asian people, but still made an Asian friend. And what I will say also is a lot of the racism that I didn't know was a thing because it was just the way that like internet wasn't really like American internet wasn't really accessible to me in Taiwan. It was like a very insular thing where a lot of like the anti-blackness, I not that like I learned it, but not in the sense that I internalized it, but that I was like, oh, I didn't know that these things meant these things and these things are anti-black, even though again, it's just like the messaging that it was like coming in and be like, oh, so there's so many things that's like has so much meaning behind it, but I never knew, and it never meant anything derogatory because there was never that connection, right?
Mm.
I think like a really like I guess like a more simple example is like the connection between like anti-blackness like and like connecting black people with like liking to eat watermelon and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That was not a thing that I knew about at all.
Yeah, it's definitely it makes sense because you have to be deep in your racist bag to like really know the historical context if you're using it in a derogatory way. But it is like it even reminds me that that shouldn't be a negative connotation because Black people survived after like slavery was abolished, like through sharecropping, selling the crops and things like selling watermelon, for example. That was like one way that Black people made money. And because like Black people were making money, it was noted to be like a racial stereotype, right?
Mm.
Black people loves watermelon, but like, God, I can't believe I just said that.
Yes,
But
and
yeah,
I
like
grew up eating so much watermelon too.
yeah,
I thought that it was a very innocuous thing, but
yeah,
it isn't, right? So I can't. I think like my point is that like racism really is learned and taught, and
mhm,
you really have to be like like that narrative really has to be perpetuated for you to like so instinctively make that connection.
So, and this is the thing that gets me too, right? Because and I'm just we're gonna have a very open, honest conversation. Y'all, we about to talk about race. I'm so sorry. A lot of Asian people, from my experience, come here and will go the other direction where they'll veer into the anti-blackness. Like, okay, like, yeah, black people are awful. And I know that it's because like proximity to whiteness for a lot of people means like security in this context. But very clearly veered in the other direction. And I don't know, I want to hear more about that because it's always so, and mind you, I have Asian friends or whatever, like obviously this is one of my Asian friends, but I have multiple Asian friends, and I just hang out with Asian people who are like aren't obsessed with black people to the point where they're like mirroring and like copying our culture. But Asian people are just like literally just like see black people as human beings. But it's just like a lot of Asian people don't. I know this is and I know a lot of Asian people might hate to hear that, but it's just an experience because I
Oh,
some of the, as you know, some of the most racist experiences I've had were on the receiving end from like East Asian people, which was like, what the fuck is going on?
yeah.
Um,
And
this supposed to be a sisterhood.
the thing about Hollywood is that that's also how they depict black people, right?
Yes.
That's like the very stereotypical like black people, the way that they depict how black people live and also socioeconomic status. That is a very big thing because most of the people that aren't born and raised in America or didn't come here when they were younger have this idea of like white is right and like white people at the top and black people at the bottom, but they don't know why black people are put at the bottom, right? They just think that,
Mm,
and I think it's a lot to do with the capitalism of it all too, and the classism of it all too, is that most Asian countries are deeply, deeply capitalistic countries, and also we deeply, deeply are racist against Southeast Asian people, right? So when you have these two things combined, it kind of manifests in the severe anti-blackness of, well, I don't want to be associated with people that I think are of quote unquote lower class, economically speaking, than me, and also never challenging what they are taught
yeah.
about how black people are or how black people live. So, and also most people who are like international students or come here when they're older only hang out with other Asian people that also came here later on.
Mm, yeah.
So if you
And you
really
know
think
what?
about, yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I remember you telling me a story about like the girl who got upset when like the Asian people sat together and she felt like the white girl and she felt like it was a personal offense to her. I don't necessarily think it's a problem when like people coalesce with like their people. Like I don't give a damn because it just doesn't bother me none. So I think I don't know. I wonder if it's like Hmm. What is the line between that, right? Because you're mentioning like people, like Asian people only hanging with Asian people, but
Hmm.
I don't know, like what's the line between people are allowed to be with their people and people should actually like challenge these conditionings that they have, and it's probably harder to do that if all your friends look the same.
I think it has a lot to do, like speaking as an Asian person, I think the difference between all Asian friend groups is like, are you all East Asians? Are you all Asian Americans? Are you all international students? Are you all of the same economic background? Do you all come from the same family background, right? Do you all come from the same city, right? Do you all come from the Midwest? Do you all come from the West Coast or the East Coast? All of these has so much to do with it because it's again like Asian American is not a monolith, right? So when you have only East Asian people who are international students, and mind you, international students, we have to be of a certain economic background because we can't take out student loans,
Yeah.
right? So we have to be able to somehow, some way afford either on scholarship or loans from back home or whatever to come here. So that is the comfort zone and the comfort of being around people that you have always been around,
Mm,
right? But then when you have, say, Asian Americans who, for most of their life, were born and raised here, let's take New York, for example, right? You are in a place where you are forced to be around other people, even though you are friends with people who are mostly Asian because that's where you grew up or that's where your family are friends with and you speak the same language, but because you live amongst other people, you're forced to have to know how other people live and how what other people's
Yeah.
lives look like, and you're forced to be around other people. It's kind of like white transplants are very, very different than white people who grew up in New York.
Period. Yes, that is true.
Right. Right.
But
So
I
it's
will
kind of like,
say I do know some pretty conservative, like, native New Yorkers who are,
oh
white. I
yeah.
don't know if but that's tea for
Hmm.
another day. We'll sip on that
Hmm.
another day. But
Hmm.
wow, yeah, no, I think you are making some really great points. And I don't know, it just reminds me how easy it is to have your worldview be limited by just listening to everything you've been conditioned to know, right? We grow up being force fed all types of propaganda that we don't even recognize for the most part as propaganda, like through movies. Don't get me started on the beef I have with Disney and how Disney has practically made engaging with like Disney gives me a job. Disney keeps me employed. Let me say that Disney is the reason why my lights are on right now because most of my clientele is predominantly women and patriarchy impacted people. And through many decades of propaganda, Disney has conditioned a lot of people to believe in this like very subjugating quote unquote fairy tale like shitty version of love that leaves a lot of people who are women, femmes, AFAB, you name it, like people who are patriarchy impacted looking for something in the world that just like is not how the world really works and or like they are like kind of conditioned to try and disconnect from the part of themselves that can have boundaries around the way that people are men are fucking them over. So
Hmm.
Disney is on my op list, but it that is like part what I mean when I say like it just reminds me that we have to challenge these conditionings and it is so important to change your worldview, change your settings, get away from where you're from, talk to new people. And it could be your own people, but like try to diversify your people. Like I remember when I was in college, because I'm from Grandma Yap a little bit, but like because I'm
Baltimore?
Baltimore, yeah, you know, I remind everybody every 5 minutes because people seem to forget every 2. But I'm from Baltimore and I went to school in Maryland, but when I would get into a room full of black people, a lot of those black people would be people from PG County. PG County is this like really like illustrious shouts out to PG County. I love like a DMV girly down, but PG County is like the bougie black people. These are black people who own homes. They have like it's suburbia. They come from, you know, the elites, the HBCUs. It's one of the wealthiest counties in the entire country. Like, and it's a predominantly black county. So I'm in a room. I remember this one time in particular. I'm in the room with a bunch of these PG County kids, and like somebody mentions Baltimore, and for like a whole half hour straight, I'm hearing these PG County kids talk about Baltimore. Like, is it like The Wire? That's the first question a lot of people ask me. Like, they didn't ask me, but they were like, oh, like it's dirty. The people from there are like junkies. They're homeless. They're like it's so violent there and it's just like so many stereotypes, negative stereotypes about like where I'm from and the people who are where I'm from, aka me. And I'm sitting in this room with them, like, damn, do I not belong here? But like, you can surround yourself with your own people, but are you surrounding yourself with more than just like people who are exactly where you come from? Are you actually open to different experiences, learning from different people? Those are some very valid and important questions I think everybody needs to like question along their way when it comes to self development and exploring these things. But enough of that. I'm curious about your opinion when it comes to interracial relationships because I know for a fact, like you know for a fact, a lot of people question whether or not things like racial solidarity are real. And I'm curious, like, do you believe in that? And if so, why? And if not, why?
I do believe it in the sense that we have to recognize who our common enemy is, which is white supremacy. And I always, always look to Yuri Kochiyama and her relationship with Malcolm X. That's kind of what grounds me in my understanding and what the solidarity really look like. And I mean, you had to leave halfway through the screening, but she was in a conversation with Angela Davis. And I learned so much more about Yuri Kochiyama and her work. She and her husband had I think it's like a couple bedroom apartment in Harlem in one of the projects. And she had an open door policy where anybody who wants to come through to have conversations, she will host so many, like, people just talking, right? She hosted Malcolm X, and I think there were like 3 Japanese people that were impacted by the atomic bomb, and then they came and they wanted to meet with Malcolm X, and they I think they met in their apartment, if I'm not mistaken. And she really was about this, like, this very underground way of, not like, I don't know, I don't like, again, I don't really know if she called it solidarity in the sense that we understand it, or even like as like a way to like virtue signal, right? But the way that she has community, the way that she hosts community, the way that
Yeah,
she has a space where people just come and have conversation and be in solidarity with each other and figure out how to be amongst each other. I think
yeah,
that is my vision or my understanding of what interracial solidarity really looks like, is recognizing who the common enemy is and think about where do we go from there, and what work do we, especially as Asian people, right? Like, what do we have to do to understand that even our own movement is birthed out of the civil rights movement. Like, the Asian American identity, it's a political identity that was coined in the 60s because of the civil rights movement, right? So are we able to recognize that history, that we are so interconnected with Black liberation, that they're not our enemy, even though a lot of the times they are used as a tool to perpetuate white supremacy, right? We all
yeah.
have been, right? And like the mono minority myth is one of them, where it's used as a tool of white supremacy to put other people down, and vice versa. Black folks have been used as a tool to, not, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but like to enact certain type of violence against Asian people, and very intentionally pitting Asian people against Black people, right?
Ooh,
So
tell me more about the break that one down, cause break that one down for me.
you elaborate your question first.
Mm-mm.
No?
You did a good job answering that, but I wanna know what you mean about Black people being weaponized against, like, the Asian community.
Yeah, so during the height of COVID in 2020, 2021 specifically, well, not really just in New York, but in San Francisco also, a lot of the anti-Asian violence that we're seeing, not seeing underground necessarily, but seeing in the news, the perpetrators were Black. But majority of the people that were actually harming Asian people were white. So why is it
Mm.
that we're only seeing Black people portrayed as the perpetrator of violence in the news, when in reality we know that white people were doing it way, way, way more?
So, like, the sensationalizing of, like, these moments, which happens so often, right? Like, even, like, down to having Black people be the face of, like, being over policed, or, like, being so over policed that Black people seem like the most criminal demographic in the world, but the reality is that there's a over policing of Black people. So any little thing a Black person does, it's gonna be hard to get away with, and it's gonna be like blasted on the jumbotron. So, like,
Exactly.
basically trying to weaponize these moments to kind of pit both communities against each other. Okay.
A very like significant, and I don't know if iconic is the right word, is the LA riot, right? Because
Mm.
Koreatown is right next to where, next to a majority Black community, that they kind of spin it where it ends up being like it's Korean people against Black people, but that's not what it was actually about.
Yeah. I
So
think the racial relations between Black people and Asian people is, like, definitely a psyop, because, like, even the fact that, like, a lot of Asian immigrants, like, back in the day, when they would come here, they were not granted, they were subject to redlining too. The only difference is like a lot of Asian people would not be able to come over here unless they could have like a job. But like the only thing that the government would really qualify as a job was these like restaurants. So working in restaurants, which is why there are a lot of Asian
Okay,
restaurants
dinner.
in the United States. Right. And then like it gets worse because a lot of the times Asian people, even if they apply for these loans to like open up these businesses, they would not be granted to open those businesses up in like the white neighborhoods, for example. So a lot of the times the properties that they would only be able to purchase were in low income black neighborhoods. And it would put like a lot of the businesses in the black neighborhoods, they would be like owned by Asian people, which is a natural like tension that happens because it's like the people who are profiting off of like the the work and the labor of black people are Asian people. Well, I think there's a beautiful relationship that happens there. I think that there's also like an intentionality to create division. Yeah, I think we need to wake up as a people.
Mm,
And it's sad because I, of course, have heard like black people have anti-Asian sentiments, and I'm sure you've heard Asian people have anti-black sentiments. And it's just like both of these really make no sense when the biggest op is the one over there. No shade.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot more to say about that, like just the whole thing, because then you have the Chinese Exclusionary Act that started in the late 1800s all the way to around the second end of Second World War, right? So there's a huge gap in the middle where most Asian peoples were not able to come to America, and then when you're able to, the immigration, that's why the H-1B visa was a thing, right? It's to get quote unquote skilled laborers
Hmm.
into the country. So when you have a group of people that are so disconnected from the history of America and they come here at the not the tail end, but in the more modern context of America, you don't understand the through line. You don't see the through line of how Black people have been subjugated and oppressed, and you come in buying into this white version of America and thinking that that's the aspiration, that's American dream, that's how you're supposed to live like.
Yeah.
And again, not having experienced that history, and also coming in as a quote unquote skilled worker, you already put yourself in a position closer to whiteness, right?
Mm. Yeah, it's just all so shitty, you know. And God, I think the only way to really topple these systems, and I did a Dear White People episode like not too long ago, and I was just like talking about why white people and just whiteness in general is just like they have to unlearn it before we can really get anything done. But like it's gonna be easier to really make change in the way that the fucked up ways of our world when I think all of the people who are subject to white supremacy or like the oppression of white supremacy. Band together. Like, let's shake this shit up together, y'all. What we doing?
And speaking of white people, I was like thinking about this and talking to one of my coworkers about this. I think like our conclusion is that white people have to get more comfortable with their own whiteness and be just like own up to the fact that
Yeah.
they're white and just be like, okay, well, I'm white, and what about it?
Yeah. Like, girl, I don't give a damn if you white. Are you challenging your fellow white people? That's what I care about. And I mean, like the ones who are knee deep in like drinking the Kool-Aid that is oppression. Girl, do you know? Because I was in Mexico like not too long ago, and I was talking to a Trump supporter in Mexico. This white man came up to me. First question he asked me, "Are you an athlete?" Mind you, am I tall, darker, chocolatey, sexy, tattoos all over the place? Yes. I just had to big up myself. Sorry. But am I athletic? No, I'm pigeon-toed, I'm clumsy, and frankly, I don't got the stamina anymore in my 30s to be anybody who's an athlete. Like, please. They tried to recruit me on the basketball team in high school, and I told them they are out of their minds. That is not me. So one, that was already racist off the back. So it is what it is. But I'm like, are you a Trump supporter? Naturally, because if you're gonna ask me an invasive question, I get to ask you an invasive question. He's like, yeah, well, oh, he hesitated. And that's the thing, you know that they're guilty because he hesitated. He's like, ooh, yikes. And then we start going back and forth just about like the whole gamut. And I'm like, for me, this is like a discovery mission. I'm like, I'm so intrigued. Like, what do you people think? And why is it like nothing? And basically, they drink the Kool-Aid and they buy into a lot of the things. One of the questions I asked them was like, would you like because I was talking about Trump and his tax evasion over the years and how he's suing the government for like billions of dollars, at least like millions and billions of dollars because his tax return was leaked and it showed that he paid $0 in income taxes. And the man is like justifying it. And I'm like, would you not pay your taxes? Would you pay your taxes if you knew like you already took care of your family, you already made enough money, and a kid who doesn't have can eat? He was like, no, I was just like, okay, this is who we're dealing with. So I say that to say, white people, you need to talk to your fellow white people. You can be white. I really don't care about that.
Mhm.
Like, even the conversation around white power, because that came up. Like, they're like, why can you say black power and not white power? And it's like, well, black power is about revolution and inclusion and like distributing equity. White power is about like making sure there's
Subjugating
inequity.
people.
Like,
Yeah.
you need to go talk to your people, is the point.
Mhm.
You know,
And the only 2.5 white friends that I have understand this fully.
2.5 is really
2.5.
wild.
The half is Cuban too, so
Sorry, 2.5 is so wild.
he
Yes,
knows.
child.
He
Oh
knows.
my goodness. But yeah, white people, talk to your fellow white people. Stop talking to us. That's another thing that they do, child. I don't know. You remember the, oh my God, the Asian grocery store thing? That was so wild because there was so many white people. I've never seen that many white people. So, well, I have. White people love preying on like just cultures around the world. If it's not hip hop, it is going to be Asia. I'm so sorry
I
to
mean,
everybody in Asia.
they're very in a very Chinese time in their life, so what are we gonna say?
I saw that, like me being Chinese for the morning. I was like, what does that even mean? They always lose their marbles if you ask me. I'll be like, I don't understand what the white people, y'all gonna be so mad when I say this, but I'm gonna speak truth to power. White people have identity issues, and it's only because other white people have stripped them of their cultural connections, their ethnic backgrounds. Y'all come from thousands of years of culture, like Europeans. Europe has some like pretty good culture, but when you come to this context in the United States, y'all become white, which is like stripped of that identity. And I think y'all go around constantly trying to latch on to other people's cultures and ethnicities and practices because of that. No shade. I hate a bitch with no identity. Well to Ice Spice. That's an Ice Spice quote. But no, but in all seriousness, it's very puzzling. Um, the whole gambit, child. But be white, talk to your peoples, leave us alone. Stop trying to be Chinese for the day.
Chinese
Stop.
New Year's is already over. Do it next year.
Oh my God, wait. Sylvia, we have to tell them because this is so funny because it's applicable. Me and Sylvia went to go get dinner not too long ago. And the lady who was serving us was a white woman with locks, like not like locks of auburn hair, but I mean dreadlocks. And Sylvia was like, "Oh my God!" I was so mortified when she came out here. She was hoping I wouldn't see her. I was like, and the food was good. I thought the food was
It
good,
was really
but unfortunately, they're gonna get a 1-star review on Yelp because you should not have white women with dreads serving me food.
it
Not
was a
during
good
Black
Indian
History Month.
restaurant too. It's a good Indian
I
restaurant
know.
too.
She was very confused. I don't think she knew where she was at. But yeah, identity issues. Sorry, some of y'all not gonna want to hear that. But if you don't like that and you felt uncomfortable with me saying that, you should explore your actual ethnic background. Like, go back to your people's roots. Are your people like Germanic? Are they from Germany? Are your people's like English? Like, where your people's from? Y'all be asking us this all the time and saying we don't have no culture because of shadow slavery, where you, because y'all have identity issues, stripped us from ours, whatever. But we developed our own like ethnicity here, Black Americans, so it's like white people, go be fruitful, connect to your roots,
I think like
leave everybody else alone.
for white folks, I feel like if you understand your whiteness through the lens of people who came to be called white, then
Hmm.
you understand what of your culture you have to let go and give up in order to become white. You have to
Yep.
let go of your food, you have to let go of your language, you have to let go of your connection with your family and your community in order to be absorbed into this whiteness that really the culture of whiteness is just the power and control and the oppression, right? There's really nothing more to white culture than that. And I think if they really sit down and understand why and how their people became to be called white, then they can understand how white supremacy also impacts them
Yes.
and also makes their life miserable.
Yes. If you don't believe that, please go listen to my Dear White People episode. I tried to like contextualize that as much as possible. They don't like to listen to us, which is why I be telling white people, go talk to your people.
But they like to
Like, go
talk at
talk to your
us.
people. I know. They This is what I was also about to say. Like, I have seen an uptick lately of white people getting online and telling us that we don't care enough about things like racism, which is like, you are talking to the wrong demographic. You need to go talk to your people. They love telling us like how to do things like politics, for example. And it's like, you actually need to talk to the demographic of people that votes majority for Republicans and like
Mhm.
this like fascistic shit we got going on. Talk to them. We are actually like 90% as black people, we're like 90% of the people voting for the other side. Not to say that the opposition is the T girl, because I don't, I don't fuck with the Democrats. I think they're a very useless faction of people. However, comma, at least we try to vote to keep the fascists out of more power. Y'all are the people who are like pushing it. Go talk to them. Stop talking to me. I think we get it.
Again, it's a virtual signaling of it all, right?
Yeah. Ooh, T.
I mean, like, why are you trying to earn brownie points when, like, you're also being so avoidant in doing the work that actually matters because you know that if you go talk to other white people, they're just putting a mirror up for
Yeah.
you to have to. You're forced to reflect on the ways that you're also perpetuating white supremacy, right? And then that's the work that I don't think that most of them are willing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of them don't realize like how controversial we trying to get today, because I have a critique. I always get accused of punching left whenever I criticize like people who are like leftists, not liberals. Y'all are not left, center at best. I'm talking about leftists, fellow people who identify as communists, like uh, socialists, uh, anarchists,
Let's
Marxists,
do
things
it.
like that. The people further to the left. Whenever I say that a lot of them like bring a lot of what they've learned in evangelical settings, like white supremacist settings, they bring the same behaviors to like left leaning spaces in the form of like constantly like othering other people, trying to isolate people, shaming people, like a lot of just the white supremacist tactics that like force people. It's just like brutal. It's like, which is why I'm always saying like the idea is correct. Like I do believe like, we should have equally distributed resources in society. I do believe that everybody should have more of a say in how like their lives are ran. I believe everybody should have like free, equitable housing, healthcare, hell, Wi-Fi, universal basic income. I support all of these things, and like I think that the left off, like leftists, not liberals. I'm not talking to y'all. Y'all are a mess. Leftists, I believe that their messaging sucks, and I say that because like a lot of them do not do the work of like analyzing or really truly processing the trauma of going through white supremacy as white people. They bring it to these spaces, and like then in turn like are racist to other people who are leftists who are just like not white, and they don't really want to examine that, and I think that's something that they really need to reflect on inwardly and leave us the fuck alone. Again, stop talking to us, go talk to your people.
And I think not to say that everybody underground is not like that, but I hear much, much less these kind of rhetoric from folks on the left that are actually doing the work and
Right.
actually putting what they preach into practice, and they see it, right? And then I think they, because they're forced, well, not forced, but they are in community with people that they are fighting with, right?
Yeah.
That they that I'm hearing a lot less these kind of preachy, like mightier than thou kind of very theoretical, intellectual. I mean, like intellectualism is also a tool of white supremacy, but yeah, it's a lot less like
Exactly.
preachy, and it's right. It's a much more
Yeah,
like practical, right? And then they see
exactly.
the nuance because they experience the nuance.
Exactly. Okay. Let's move to, do you have anything else you want to add to this conversation, by the way?
No,
You sure? Because I know you got some, you could yap it up. But if
they
not,
say
we
I
can
don't know how
move
to
on to
cut
our,
up.
girl, when have you ever heard me silent?
Well, neither have I been silent.
Okay.
So
Because we be yapping, I'm telling you. And this is why I do love having my friends in real life on here because like we be seeing each other. Like I love my friends.
not in
And
person.
please don't you dare on my podcast. Nah, Sylvia is always like, Shaheem, you're always so busy. And unfortunately, I am. I have a lot of stuff on my plate, but I do try to make space for my friends. I almost came to Hot Pot yesterday, but I would
Mhm.
realize like I'm like on the verge of burnout. I was like, let me actually sit my ass down. Like if I don't take care of myself, I can't be a good friend. And that would be
We'll
like
do
a
another
horrible
time.
example to say. Yeah. We're gonna we'll talk after we get off the chat, but I do want to hang out soon. But with that being said, we're gonna move on to our next segment. Sylvia be on my ass, y'all, and I love it. This is why I love Virgos. Virgos be like, you need to get it together. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, and then when you come back, it better be together.
Mm-hmm.
Five. Actually,
Essentially,
4. But the next segment is Ask Dr. Durag and Friends. And this is where we answer a question from the audience. And we have the Great Space of Mind who asked, hi, do you think we really heal alone without professional help? Is it truly healing if we do it on our own, like through books, podcasts, meditation, exercise, etc.? I found it hard to connect with therapists and resorted to doing it alone. So I was wondering, I have a few friends I can connect deeply to on those subjects, but I'm curious what you think. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'm trying to like understand what they meant by alone.
So, in the sense of alone, it sounds like they're saying like without professional help.
I think yes and no. I think the yes in the sense that we heal in community, right?
Yes.
We heal in our relationship with other people. And I know that this has been talked about online and in different spaces that when you are in a very healthy relationship, it's much more triggering, but that's also where you grow and heal the most. But at the same time, I like how I see professional mental health provider is somebody who is not involved with your life on a personal level,
Yeah.
that is able to give you, and your relationship with them is purely therapeutic and only in that time and space, right? Does that mean always mean a paid therapist? Not necessarily, but at the same time you have to find people who's not entrenched in your life in whatever way or know you on a personal level to be able to give you a perspective that you might not ever considered, right? So I think in that sense, professional like healing in a professional setting is very, very crucial, and I think it's needed. But at the same
Yeah.
time, do we all have access to that? No. So how do we, I feel like this is kind of a long-winded answer, but how do we then
Mhm.
understand and think about healing and therapy and growth, right? In a more non-Western and non-American and non-white sense of like what is healing, but also like what are you trying to heal from? Like what are you trying to gain out of this healing? What are you looking for?
Yeah. One, I agree with that 100%. I think like it is a good thing to have. The only thing I'll add is like I think it's a good thing to have a therapeutic relationship in your life. I think it's like it could really, really, really be helpful in ways that a lot of other relationships can't. Like, and there are specializations in therapy that may really help somebody to benefit from like a therapeutic relationship. Like I do EMDR therapy, which I've talked about before, and EMDR therapy is a completely different thing than talk therapy. And that's not something people can just do on their own at home. So having therapy can be great. Unfortunately, that is a reality that we don't have access all of us don't have access to adequate care, affordable care. And this is something that I do want to work on as I proceed in my career, obviously. And I can note that you can like be like the healing process can be supplemented with like books, like meditations, all of the things that the person in the question asked. Like I think that really can help. Like having friends who you feel safe with, who you can talk to and vent about things, that is part of the grieving process and being able to grieve through the things that happen throughout life. And I think it would benefit everybody to have a therapeutic relationship that's safe and effective because not all of them are safe and effective. And I'm sorry to the person who asked, like about them not being able to connect to a clinician. We are in a process. I'm going to say we because Sylvia, I know in real life is like very much so also dedicated to this mission, but we're on a mission to decolonize therapy. And that is also to say while yes, a therapeutic relationship is also good, like there are other ways to heal. And like I am not of the mind that you cannot heal in different ways. Whatever works for you is what works for you. Just find it. That's all that I want people to do. And I don't think like therapy has to be this. I think therapy is going to evolve over time and we're going to make it less sterile. But healing has happened for centuries, even outside of the Western version of psychology and psychotherapy. It has been like going to the local medicine woman. Like these things, there have been things that have happened for centuries. And I think we can put healing in the hands of the people. It's just how we go about it, and I like that is gonna happen over time naturally, I believe, and I think it's a good thing to have a therapeutic relationship with a therapist that has also a mindset that is geared towards decolonizing the therapeutic process.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
if you
'cause
don't know what I'm talking about, look up the Decolonizing Therapy book and page on Instagram. Go ahead.
I have that book. Have I read it? No. I
It's a
need
good
to.
book.
But I think when we don't engage in therapy in a more decolonized framework, are really seeing I mean, this has been talked about ad nauseum, right? That we're seeing the individual as the problem, and in
Mhm,
turn, we internalize ourselves as the problem. And even with the phrasing of like treatment plans and all of these ways of talking about and a diagnosis and illness, it's like, no, like, I don't think there's anything like wrong with me. Like, it's wrong with it's the colonization, like colonialism, imperialism is what's wrong that made me feel this way and make the people in my life treat me the way that they treated me,
mhm.
right? I am not the problem. There's something inherently in me that needs to be treated. But if we're still only able to kind of see therapy in the framework of a very wide lens of like talking at you and talking to you, even if it's a very conversational thing, it's still a very individualistic like approach. Yeah.
100% agreed. Wow, but community is healing. We're not taking that away. Please go heal with your friends, find safe people
Offline.
offline in real life, please, Lord Jesus, if you can. But okay, with that being said, let's move on to our next segment, which is one of my faves. I always say that all of my segments are my favorites. But what's your anthem is the next segment. And this is where we share a piece of media, whatever you're listening to, anything that is your anthem right now that's keeping you sane in this very chaotic world.
Only in a sense of a song or anything?
It could be any piece of media.
Do you wanna go first? Because 'Cause I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I will. I've been really getting into that dinosaurs like docu-series on Netflix. Like I said, I love marine biology, but for some reason I also am into dinosaurs. So it's been like just like
Sure.
really cool. I just be doing like I like the most random stuff.
Have you seen the one
Yeah.
on HBO where, it's, like, narrated through the David Attenborough style of, like, recreating the dinosaur lives?
So that's kind of like what they're doing on Netflix, but I haven't seen the one on HBO, but put me
So
on.
good. So good, it's so funny because it's shot through the as if it's like a document like a wildlife documentary, but of dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's kind of like what the Netflix one is like. It's narrated by Morgan Freeman.
And that's so funny because, like, we don't actually know what happened there, but I love it.
though.
What am I
No comment on Morgan Freeman, y'all. That's a weird case. But
It's a good voice.
Yeah, I know. But what's your anthem?
You know what? I've been watching The Pit. I love The Pit. It's such a good show. I'm working in a hospital and like kind of knowing how doctors operate and how realistic the show is and how much, at least like this season, they're focusing so much on relationships, like familial relationships, be it parent to child or among siblings, and also reconciliation. I think it's such a good show right now. I don't know. Am I watching anything else? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good enough for
It is
me.
great.
Okay, last and final segment. The episode is coming to a close. Okay, this is the toolkit, and this is where we both share something in our mental health toolkit that helps us to get through life, something that we can all share and add with each other. So it could be anything you can think of. It could be a book, it could be a mental health practice, something that you do to keep you relaxed, grounded, you name it. A tool, anything.
I think, well, what really has helped in the last 6 months was quitting my job. Well, not quitting, but I transitioned to a new position
Yeah.
that's much less stressful. And I think that really helps. And recognizing that I can still be a social worker, just not in the capacity of a paid job, so that I actually have more capacity to dedicate my energy to doing things that I actually want to do and not feeling like my worth and value is solely on my job that's paying me.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations again on your promotion.
Thank you.
Period. I guess my contribution this week is gonna be like collect things that you love. Like I'm actually like I have some around me. I love Digimon, so I have like a collectibles. I'm holding up. If you're listening and not watching on the YouTube, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. I have like a Digimon collection. Even like my AirPod case is a Digivice, and I have like TK, which is the youngest member, and I have a Tentamon and I have a Patamon. I have like collectibles. Collect things you like. I realized somewhere along the way, like, and it was so random because I bought this like Digimon shirt and like I was just like, wait, I have adult money and I could just literally collect things that I like. And then I was like, okay, new hobby unlocked. So if you have a favorite show or a favorite thing from childhood, it's okay to just collect trinkets because they make you happy. Do things that make you happy. So that's one thing that I do. I collect things that I enjoy. That's it. Okay, Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being part of our collective, our
Thank you
family.
for having this podcast.
Oh, thank you. I doubt that this will be the last time you'll be on here. So
Probably not.
I'll put this on the air. I do solo episodes, right? But I've been thinking of like having more like I have a topic and then I have like friends just like have conversation with me through these episodes, some in person, some not. But that'll be another conversation for another day. Y'all see these episodes roll out. So there may be some Shaheem and Sylvia episodes down the line. Look out for those. But Sylvia, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank
Do you
you for having
have
me.
any closing things for the people? Anything else you want to say before we close? Do you want to tell the people where they can find you?
Uh, don't find me nowhere, please.
I knew you were going to say that. Word, boundaries.
And turn your phone off. Go hang out with your friends in real life. Put your phone down when you're having dinner. Actually talk to people and actually go experience the world. Life is built by the bricks that you lay and not a goalpost that you're trying to chase.
Period. Sylvia's also shading me because we have not hung out in person in like a month.
I mean, I try, but
I was just out of the country, y'all. It's like, I'm
I've
sorry.
been,
And you had
I've
a
been
busy
trying to see.
February.
I've been trying to see you before you went. How many times? But that's not
Oh my
exciting.
God. We're recording this in March, early March. Me and Sylvia we hung out in like February, right?
After the first big snowstorm.
I don't remember. Look, Auntie tired, but y'all, oh my God, please Submit questions for Ask Dr. Durag. We want to hear from you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like I said, please leave a review. If it's anything less than 5 stars, please keep it to yourself. And until you come up with a better review, we appreciate you for being a part of this collective. And also, remember, you are doing so much better than you think or know. I will see you next week. Thank you again for tuning in. Over and out.